The Bison in the snow, just the way fans, NDSU like it. 15 degrees. Fresh snowfall on the ground in North Dakota, just outside the Fargo Dome. And inside, a raucous crowd and a capacity crowd getting set to roar as their Bison take to the field. And their eyes on the prize in Frisco, Texas. NDSU won the toss and deferred. Eli Ozick getting set to kick off with Maxwell Woods back deep to receive for the Jackrabbits from Brookings. For a spot in Frisco, we are underway in Fargo. And here's Woods from the 2. With a cut and a crease and spun down crossing the 20. Jackrabbits will take over there after a return of 22 yards. And Sam, our first look at Mark Gronowski. All he's done in his career is win 2 national championships, 49 games, and only 5 losses. And by the way, he's got NFL talent.
He's the unquestioned leader of this entire Jackrabbits team. And what he does better than anything else is knows how to win.
.62% completion percentage for Gronowski, a native of Illinois. Mark Johnson joins him in the backfield on first down. Only loss of the season for South Dakota State came right here in the Dome on October 19th. Duffy a tackle on Johnson after a gain of just 2. Well, Sam, we do believe it's going to be a physical game, a line of scrimmage game. And talking to both teams this week, they feel like whoever wins that war, and that's how they framed it, at the line of scrimmage is going to have the best chance to win this one.
And the first thing I saw on that first play, Roy, you're seeing big people on the field. 2 and 3 tight ends on the field. That means that South Dakota State wants this game to be physical.
Irvin went in motion, and the handoff goes to Johnson. Bottled up, driven down. And a gain of a half yard, that's about it. Ryan Jones made the tackle. 3rd down and long coming up for the Jackrabbits. SDSU has won 7 in a row, including back-to-back wins in these FCS playoffs. Their only loss we mentioned here in the Dome after a season-opening loss at Oklahoma State. Leading receiver Wilde went in motion. 3rd down and 8. Gronowski wants to fire deep, and it's incomplete. Wilde broke his route off short. Gronowski went long, and a 3-and-out force by NDSU.
We talk about the quarterback of the offense, but also we need to talk more about some of these defenses, Roy. What I'm seeing, and we'll get to it as the game goes on, is these defenses do a great job of communicating. And so no matter what shift or motion happens, when they communicate, they're on the same page. It makes it more difficult for a quarterback to decipher what's coming next.
Hunter Dustman on the field. He'll handle kickoff duties, punting duties, and serve as the starting place kicker. Booms it to Jackson Williams. Coverage on point. Williams spins free for a moment. Bison will get it at the 20 after a punt of 59 and a return of 5 yards. Cam Miller, a dynamic performance a week ago in the victory against Mercer here in this same venue. Threw for a couple of scores to Bryce Lance. Ran for another touchdown from 34 yards out. And Cam Miller, Sammy called it a relief earlier in the season, beating the Jackrabbits for the first time in his career. And he certainly understands the pressure on his shoulders today to get to Frisco.
Well, this game means so much to both sides. And so Cam Miller, being the quarterback, feels that pressure. They got the win earlier. They're trying to get it again.
TK Marshall gets the start at running back. Miller will look his direction into the flats. Marshall has a first down, a little bit more. Still on his feet. And upended near the 40. Marshall, the legs kept churning. And a pickup of 20 yards to the running back after the missed tackle by Durant.
Durant missed the tackle, but I want to have your eyes on Kobe Humphrey, number 22. He's a corner, but his eyes are inside, so he gives up that edge. He's looking so far inside at the quarterback, he loses track of the running back, and instead of keeping leverage, he lets himself get out leverage. So those little things, bad eyes, can cause big problems.
Marty Brown continues to battle a toe injury. We will see him on the field today, as well as Barika Pinu. But it's Marshall, the senior, who got the start over the left edge. And a 1-yard gain as he stumbles and upended by Spalding. Well, Tim Polasek said it best earlier this week, Sam. He said this is like an old Spartan movie. It's not going to be for the cowards, as Taylor told us there in that opening hit. At the line of scrimmage, we've simply got to be more physical to win this game.
But I've seen differences, Roy. Early in this game, you saw South Dakota State start with more of this run mentality. But early on, only 2 plays so far, we've seen a pass, we've seen some play action, and so expect 2 different styles of play.
Missouri Valley Football Conference Coach of the Year into the flats and stop at the line. Wermeyer is going to lose a yard. Francel with the stop, and it's quickly 3rd down.
Some of the players and names you're going to hear are names that are staples in this rivalry. Caleb Francel is a player who continually in this matchup makes plays.
Jimmy Rogers, former Jackrabbit linebacker. Year number 2, he won a championship in year number 1. 27 victories in totality. Miller goes deep, and it's going to be hauled in. Bryce Lance in stride. And here come the Bison after a gain of 30.
Well, we heard it from the coaching staff, Roy, earlier in the week. They said we have to take at least 2 to 3 shots to Bryce Lance early in this game. And this is the first one. Get used to many more. Bryce Lance is one-on-one against Kobe Humphrey. Cam Miller sees that. He looks off the safety and drops it in the bucket to Bryce Lance.
3rd different running back we've seen on the field checking in. And Barika Pinu. Bryce Lance, younger brother of Trey, he told us this week, gets a text message from the NFL quarterback with the Cowboys before every game. Miller surveys to the perimeter off the pump fake. And ushered out inside the 25. He'll make something out of nothing. The 7-yard gain.
We're early in this game, Roy, but I see a lot of trust in Cam Miller in his offensive line. The only way you can have time to make passes like you've seen is when everyone is protecting. Look at the time that he has to be able to survey the field, to be able to realize, okay, do I want to try and get it downfield? Do I want to escape in the pocket? Great job by Gray Zabel, who's an NFL prospect, and the rest of this offensive line.
And you mentioned Miller. Protected well, 3 for his first 3. Almost 50 yards, including that long pass to Lance. Off the toss, Marty Brown a touch.
But notice the difference, Roy. We alluded to it earlier, but yes, physical, run the ball, tackle, play defense. That's what we've heard, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing one team take shots down the field early, another team try to slow it down. And so I'm interested to see if, after this drive, if South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, if they'll change their mentality of how they're approaching this game based off the aggression of the Bison.
5 minutes in, 3rd and 1 coming up for the Bison. Brown stays in at running back. He will flank Cam Miller, a senior from Iowa. And the play clock winding down quickly. Miller wants to throw it to the end zone for the touchdown. Bryce Lance reels it in, and NDSU strikes first. From 21 yards out, the younger brother of Trey Lance. He's not a quarterback, he's a wide receiver, and he's a dynamic one at that.
Well, they said 2 shots early. I didn't think it'd be that early. 2 shots on the first drive. No matter if it's Stephen Arell, no matter what the cornerback is, Bryce Lance is playing like the best receiver on the field.
How about the early first quarter haymaker by NDSU at home? They only scored 13 in the first game. They already have 7 on the board on their first touch here in the rematch.
You talked about the text message that Bryce Lance gets from his brother. Usually it involves this idea of you're the best player in the world, play like it. So far, so good.
Bryce Lance with a touchdown grab. Make it 2 a week ago, 13 now on the season. Make it 14 after that scoring strike from Cam Miller moments ago. And 7-0 NDSU grabs the early lead. 80 yards in just 7 plays in less than 4 minutes. A dynamic start for the Bison offense.
an impressive start, really an ideal start if you're Cam Miller. Think about getting that second victory over your arch rival. There's nothing better than seeing balls completed and not just short passes down the field. That increases confidence.
Bryce Lance told us yesterday, I am much more confident. The game has slowed way down for me since the first meeting on October 19th against the Jackrabbits. Woods watches that sail over his head. Grant Olson calls the defensive plays for the Bison. He was also gracious enough to be mic'd up for us pregame.
Seniors get in front. Give me the seniors in front. Seniors lead the way. Seniors lead the way. Come on, seniors, this is your time. Let's go. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. We're ready to play. Let's go. There it is, Worthy. Let's go. We got more juice than they do. I promise you. Let's trust each other. Play for each other. I love you guys. Let's go. Headers on three. 1, 2, 3. Headers. Let's go, Walter Peter. Hey, I love you, man. Have some fun today.
Coach Olson told us this week, we're better when we start on defense. We bring the juice. They brought it thus far. The deep ball to Wilde, incomplete. And Gronowski's going to take his fair share of shots. So far 0 for 2 in the downfield passing game. With Duffy in coverage, the talented Wilde.
Griffin Wilde is the best receiver, or at least the most highlighted receiver for South Dakota State. So Grant Olson saying, hey, we got to keep eyes on Wilde all game long.
Nearly 1,100 yards receiving for the sophomore out of Sioux Falls. Gronowski, good numbers this year. He can do it on the ground at times as well. Empty backfield, Gronowski on cue. Stacked up at the 29, a 4-yard gain. Third down for the Jacks. Ryan Jones met him at the line in the safety position.
Roy, little thing but a big thing. You saw the way that Gronowski lowered his shoulder to try and meet the linebacker. Well, the linebackers and the entire defense knew what was going to happen, and so they said, hey, we're going to accept this contact. I don't care if you're a quarterback. You're 6'3", you're 230. You think you're going to out-physical us? No, we can out-physical you.
Ryan Olson, offensive coordinator. What can he dial up here? This veteran group led by Mark Gronowski at quarterback. 3rd down and 6. Pocket collapses. Crossing route is there. Griffin Wilde's got the first down. And still on his feet ahead to the 46. Gronowski found a way that time and a gain of 16.
We talked with Logan Kopp, the defensive leader for this team, and he was saying, hey, Griffin Wilde is the guy we have to stop. He's their go-to receiver. Great job by the offensive line picking up the blocks, and it gives Griffin Wilde time to run a deep crossing route. So the defense knows what's coming. The question is, can you stop it?
Kirby Voorhees on the field for the first time, as is Chase Mason, who faked it to Gronowski. And we will see a good bit of this afternoon. Gain of 3 on 1st down. It's an interesting look, right?
It is. Well, interesting, but if you know this team, it's not as interesting. Chase Mason is an extreme athlete. He is a former baseball player. He's big, he's tall, he's strong. I was on the field with him. He's a great athlete. Probably the most explosive guy on this team, and so they want to get him on the field in any way possible.
Mason was banged up before last week. Win against Incarnate Word. Gronowski receives the snap, and Voorhees off the left side. So on 2nd and 7, a gain of 3 more.
And that's positive. 2nd and 7, a 3-yard gain doesn't look pretty, but it puts you in 3rd and 3, which is 3rd and manageable. You can run in 3rd and 3. You can do quarterback run in 3rd and 3. You can run crossers, you can run deep balls, and you're on your own side of the 50. And so that 3-yard gain gives you options.
Crossing midfield, Jimmy Rogers told us earlier this morning here in Fargo, if it's 4th and short plus territory, we know we're going to have to go for it a couple of times today. Let's see what happens on 3rd, an unbalanced formation. And Gronowski straight ahead picks up the first. And a touchdown saving tackle, gain of 7. It was Marcus Shepard back on the field from that cornerback position.
I'm glad you said tackle, because Marcus Shepard may not have felt that way. That was a touchdown saving collision. Mark Gronowski, yes, he's a quarterback, but we were on the field with him earlier, Roy. This guy is a unit. And I think the defense gets it as well, and Gronowski knows that they're going to feel him today.
We talked to him pregame, Sam. I was looking up, shaking his hand. He's a big dude. Of course, I do that with most quarterbacks.
I didn't want to say it this early, but.
Play action. Gronowski wide open. Pass is caught. Ogroski inside the 5. It'll be first down and goal. Gain of 35. And Lofton Ogroski picks up the first, a freshman.
A freshman, but he's playing like a phenom. Look at the offensive line. Look at the protection. There's so much time for Mark Gronowski. And so one thing, when Mark Gronowski has time and he can step up in the pocket, he has a cannon of an arm. Great job by the offensive line so far, giving Gronowski time when he decides to pass it.
Quite a response for the Jackrabbits. Trailing by a touchdown. Lamar Johnson barrels down towards the 3. Ryan Jones, the tackle. Well, Gronowski can be tricky with the hands and in the play action. It's hard to tell for a defense where that football is.
It is, but you have to be able to be assignment sound. If you're an outside linebacker or defensive end and you're a quarterback player, it doesn't matter what he does with his hands. You play the quarterback. If you're on the interior, maybe a guy like number 50, Cody Heisman, you have to play the running game. And so it doesn't matter what the quarterback does with his hands or his eyes. You do your job.
Packed Fargo Dome. Johnson again towards the goal line. And stopped just short. It'll be 3rd and goal from inside the 1.
Game of inches we talk about. That tackle, depending on what happens next, is what this game is all about. You're in the goal line. Everything matters. It's first down. It's second. It doesn't matter. I got to get a stop. Great job. Just collapsing.
Kevin Brenner, a little push. Gronowski is in for the touchdown. And the Jackrabbits on the board in Fargo. Little extracurricular activity. We expect to see more of that today. And an extra point away from this game being tied.
Told you they were saving it. They didn't want to do it pregame. They were saving it for the real thing.
And the fans that made the trip less than 200 miles away up north from Brookings starting to make some noise. Jimmy Rogers' team, 75 yards in 10 plays. And what a different start in the Dakota Marker rivalry rematch. 13-9 on October 19th. Got 14 on the board here in mid-December. And Dustman's extra point has us tied at 7.
Mark Gronowski says, I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to trust my offensive line. I'm too big, I'm too strong, I'm going to get my team on the board. And now we got a tied game.
First quarter action continues in Fargo, tied at 7. Mark Gronowski just scored his 10th touchdown of this latest playoff run by South Dakota State. And you go back to the second round against Montana. The dual threat signal caller, Sammy, did it. 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing scores in crushing fashion, a 35-18 victory. And then it was a week ago, the quarterfinal against Incarnate Word, a good team in a rematch from early September. 3 more passing touchdowns, 2 more on the ground. They put up the double nickel. And a 55-14 win in Brookings, in the snow, in the cold. And Gronowski talking upstairs with his OC, Ryan Olson, as we speak. Quite a story to tell for a quarterback that has aspirations of playing in the next level and who's already won 2 national titles. Short kickoff received by Marshall, stepping out of bounds. Bison will take over there for more on Gronowski. Taylor Davis, what do you have?
Well, quite the career for Mark Gronowski, but if you ask him who the best athlete in the family is, he would tell you it's his brother Ryan, who actually won gold in the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games in Orlando. He is a flag football player and Mark's biggest fan. Mark told me that without his brother's support, he wouldn't have gotten as far as he has in his collegiate career. Ryan is in attendance here today, as he is for most of Mark's games, saying he talks to him before every game and he tells him, hey, this is your day, go ball out.
And he was doing it with Tim Tebow in the house as well. Marty Brown straight ahead. Bison get it back. And a gain of 3 on first down. The Gronowskis making their way over Naperville, Illinois. And they're in the house. And there they are, cheering.
Roy, I got a chance to, as we look at his family, to talk with Mark down on the field, and this dude has some depth to him. I mean, you could tell that he knows that it's bigger than just football, and a lot of that has to do with family.
It does. He's been battling through a variety of injuries. That pass broken up, looking for Lance. Caleb Francel able to swat it. And he came in late. Lance was covered like a blanket in that sequence.
Unbelievable job by Caleb Francel, number 9. He's going to get depth, and that's the hardest thing. When you're in some type of man-to-man or even zone coverage, you have to get depth. Look at him sink and sink and sink and get about 18 yards deep. It's difficult because you don't know what's behind you, but Caleb Francel understands the route concepts, so his getting depth allows him to break up that pass by Bryce Lance.
6'1", $195. He's not the biggest linebacker you're going to see, but he packs a punch. 3rd down, and here goes Miller. Looking for the line to gain, and he did not make it. Let's see where they spotted, about a half-yard shy. Miller took a tumble, and Tilford upended him, chopped him down, Sam. It's going to be 4th and extremely short, and let's see.
Now they're bringing in their big personnel as they're looking to go for it on 4th down. That was a great job by Colton Tilford, having his eyes on the quarterback. Yes, he was in his zone, but as soon as Cam Miller started to escape, he escaped his zone and made sure to come up and make contact. And so great job by Tilford, but now they're going for it.
On the NDSU side of the field, movement up front, and here come the flags. It's a Southern Conference officiating crew today. And it's Jeff Page, our referee. Sam, I'm not sure if they were simply trying to draw them off sides. The left side moved.
Full start. 74 the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
And that's the NFL caliber left tackle, Gray Zabel, the senior from Pierre, South Dakota.
Correct, but he moved intentionally, so he thought that the defense entered the neutral zone, and so with that thought, he says, okay, I'm going to respond to your action. But as we were watching, the defense didn't actually enter, so Caleb Francel actually stops before he enters the neutral zone. Gray Zabel tries to get that offsides. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in his favor.
So in a weird way, 2 big plays by Francel on that possession. The PBU deep down the field in coverage, and then forcing the false start by Zabel at left tackle. And Steindorf's punt whistled dead inside the 15. A punt of 51, tied at 7. Jackrabbits have it when we're back in Fargo. 2:35 remaining. First quarter action continues from the Fargo Dome, tied at 7. The spot in the national championship in Frisco on the line. That reminds us to remind you, coming up next on ABC, the second FCS semifinal, #1 seed Montana State hosting South Dakota in beautiful Bozeman, Montana. The trip to the championship on the line. Big Sky Country, front and center on your screen there for a moment. They are not playing indoors in Bozeman today. Lamar Johnson racing ahead towards the 20. And stopped after a 5-yard gain. So this contest today, Sam, begins 3 and out for SDSU. Then a touchdown drive. North Dakota State, a touchdown drive, then a 3 and out. And right now, Jackrabbits, defending national champions, have seized momentum.
Yeah, early in games like these, rivalry games, games with a lot of emotion, you have to figure out exactly not only who you are, but who they are and how they're going to try to attack you. These teams play each other all the time. They're settling in to the defensive structure.
Gronowski will keep it. Tried to explode out of that cut the best that he could. It's enough for a first down as he lumbers his way towards the 25. Well, we do expect to see a good bit of Chase Mason today, the backup quarterback. He's done a great job. They've designed packages for him on the ground. And talking with Jimmy Rogers this week, even pregame, everybody's banged up. So you got to find a way to power through whatever ailments you're dealing with at this late hour in this playoff run.
Correct. This is game 15 of the season. So think about it. You're in game 15. You've been in training camp and off-season work. And now all of a sudden, this is when it matters most. Play
action, Gronowski. Tried to send it underneath to Lamar Johnson. Really didn't have any real estate available in front of him. And 2nd and 10 coming up.
That was the first time, Roy, though, where we felt a little bit of the pressure of the defensive line getting towards Gronowski. He hadn't had any pressure so far all game, but now we're seeing that pressure start to affect him. And so I want to see if the defensive line for North Dakota State can create more pressure to try and get Gronowski off his mark.
He's one of the winningest all-time quarterbacks in the FCS. He's been there and done that against this ferocious Bison defense. Johnson the handoff, a crease and a punishing finish. That should be enough for a first down. So here comes Amar Johnson, who's patient as a running back, but we've heard other words used to describe his running style.
The other word we've heard is discipline. Amar Johnson is a very disciplined runner. He's going to go where he's supposed to go, and he's going to do it with physicality. It feels as if South Dakota State has been the more physical team early in this game, whether it's quarterback or running back. They're trying to make a statement, not just to the world, but to the people right in front of them.
Jackrabbits' first 5 runs gained 12 yards. That last one picked up 11. Johnson steps off. Angel Johnson now steps in, his roommate, and contact on the left side. That's going to be encroachment and offsides, I believe, on NDSU.
Offside. Defense number 55 with contact. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
And Cole Mentz jumped across the line of scrimmage and kind of two-hand touched the right tackle there for the Jackrabbits.
And some of that is the excitement. It's the moment. It's the rivalry. So, yes, these teams are smart. Yes, they're disciplined, but you still have that feeling of, I want to go make a play.
Mason back on the field. He motions out as a receiver. Straight ahead, Voorhees. On 1st and 5, he'll net a yard. Logan Kopp a tackle. Should be the final play of our first quarter. Tied at 7, and our second quarter resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
We're tied at 7 here in the Fargo Dome. South Dakota State head coach Jimmy Rogers joins me now. Coach, we talked a lot this week about the physicality that this game would bring. Where have you seen that from your team in the first quarter?
Well, I think we're running the ball at a decent rate right now. We got to make sure that we're locked in and don't have common errors. They had a couple on their end. We got to stay sharp and just be able to execute.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, to coach's point, balance nearly perfect in that first quarter. 52 yards through the air, 49 on the ground. 2nd and 4, 15 minutes in. Winner goes to Frisco to compete for a national championship on January 6th. Gronowski dives ahead past the line to gain, and that'll move the chains. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. The Dakota Marker rematch, they call it the Dakota Marker rivalry, as the two states, North Dakota and South Dakota, originally separated by those huge stone pieces, separated by half a mile each. The border of South and North Dakota, and the trophy resembles one of those markers. It is 75 pounds. It's not technically at stake today because the winner of the regular season matchup retains it. And the stakes even higher in this matchup with a spot in the national championship. We'll fake it to Woods. Woods will get it on the swing and corrals the high toss, dancing out of bounds. So Maxwell Woods, a freshman running back, originally committed to NDSU in the recruiting process, a late switch to the Jackrabbits. That's just part of the rivalry that occurs off the field between these two.
Correct. There are no major FBS programs in this area, and so the talented players from North Dakota and South Dakota are coming to one of these schools. Obviously, South Dakota is another team as well. So that's why you see so much talent in this region at North Dakota State, South Dakota, North Dakota, etc.
Winner of this game gets the winner between Montana State and South Dakota in Bozeman later. That game also on ABC.
Timeout. North Dakota State, the first of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
The Bison call a timeout. Tim Polasek out on the field. As we step aside, 13:44 to go in the half in a tie game in Fargo. So as we went to that last break, North Dakota State utilized the timeout to call a challenge. And upon video review, they thought the back, Maxwell Woods stepped out of bounds. How about the fact that he stayed in? The call was confirmed, and tippy-toe down that right sideline. An amazing job of staying inbounds.
Well, a fingertip catch started it for Maxwell Woods, and then a toe tap down the sideline was impressive. And so you're seeing the agility, the hands, the quickness, and the awareness by Woods.
So the challenge is no good. They'll lose the challenge for the rest of the half and a timeout in the process. After all of that, 2nd down and 4. Kirby Voorhees, the running back. Jackrabbits on the move in NDSU territory again. Search of their first lead of the game. Voorhees tripped up. He's going to lose a couple. Nick Kubitz is able to bust through the line and record the tackle.
So far, Roy, it's been predominant run for South Dakota State, and it feels as if the defense is prepared for it. So North Dakota State Bison, their defense is ready for the physicality of this game, and they're challenging the quarterback, Mark Gronowski, to beat them with his arm.
Jackrabbits converted all 3 third downs on their last drive, including 3rd and goal. Empty backfield. Gronowski wants to run it again. Over the right side, and he stopped just short by Logan Kopp. Feels like Jimmy Rogers called that play, and South Dakota State called that play, knowing they were going to go for it on 4th and short if they got there.
Correct, and we talked about North Dakota State knowing what South Dakota State wants to do offensively. It seems like Jimmy Rogers and South Dakota State do not care. We're going to be physical. We're going to run you over with our quarterback and see if you can stop us.
Kevin Brenner back on the field. He shoved Gronowski across the goal line moments ago. And it's Gronowski again. He does not need assistance. He'll pick up the first easily. And the quarterback draw moves the chains. Gain of 4 on 4th and short.
And these aren't huge plays, right? It's a 3-yard gain, a 4-yard gain, a 2-yard gain. It is 4th down, but one thing that makes Mark Gronowski different, we heard this from the coaches down on the field, is that he gives his entire team the belief that they can win.
His father Ray, mom Deb, and Ryan in the house. It's an athletic family. His sister Sarah played softball at Butler for 4 seasons. And they are taking in the action this afternoon. Johnson's able to buzz through. Amar Johnson off and running to the end zone. And the Jackrabbits in front for the first time in Fargo. Symbolic drive of what this team has been able to accomplish since the midseason loss here. Back-to-back wins in the FCS playoffs, now in the semis. Dustman on the field for the PAT. And it's 14-7, South Dakota State.
Well, Roy, we heard from the coaching staff that Amar Johnson is extremely disciplined. He needs to get in trouble for this run, because what he did was not okay. You're stiff-arming guys in the hole. You're running people over. Like that, put him in detention. Put him in detention, because I don't care how disciplined you are. The fact that you can hurdle someone, stiff arm, have the vision, the eyes, the skill to be able to evade defenders and the speed to finish, Amar Johnson is playing at a different level.
Ryan Jones, the native of Frisco, Texas, is on the wrong side of that stiff arm from Amar Johnson. And the Jackrabbits thinking destination Frisco after that run. Back-to-back scoring drives of 75 and 86 yards after trailing by the touchdown early.
And we talked about the mentality of these two teams, and we're seeing it very clear, very early. South Dakota State is going to be physical in their running game with the quarterback. North Dakota State, the Bison, they want to throw the ball more. So now, with the score being what it is, Cam Miller has an opportunity to prove it.
Jackrabbits with 100 yards rushing already. TK Marshall wants to bring it out, and he will. Marshall stopped well short of the 15. Poor starting field position for the Bison, but we've mentioned a couple of dynastic runs, first by the Bison, then by South Dakota State, to reach the pinnacle, to the top of the SCS mountain, if you will. First it was the Bison, those 9 championships and 11 seasons going back to 2010. Here come the Jackrabbits, back-to-back national titles, winning in Frisco against North Dakota State 2 years ago and against the Grizz of Montana a season ago.
We've been having this conversation over the last couple of days of, all right, is this almost like the changing of the guard, and who is the real team in the FCS? For a decade plus, it was North Dakota State. Last 2 years, been the other team.
Bison will try to go 86 yards to tie it up. Cam Miller, he went to his offensive coordinator, Jake Landry, this week, burst the doors down in the office, the way it was described to us, and said, Coach Landry, run me at all costs. Run me as much as you can in this game. They held him back earlier this year to maintain his health. Different story in a game like this today.
But I don't expect them running him at all costs. I know he said that, but that's not going to be the formula to win. The formula to win is getting the ball down the field in the air to guys like Bryce Lance. So I get it. QB, you want to run it? No, I want you to throw it if you want to win.
He picked up 7 yards there, not too shabby. On the run again, that's a first down.
Well, I'm looking for 70, not 7 in a game like this.
Picks up 8 more. That'll move the sticks. Adam Bach, the tackle. So Bach, high school teammates with Cam Miller, makes the tackle. They were also former pitcher and catcher on the same team for a time. Not great friends now, of course, playing as rivals in a matchup like this. But there's a relationship there.
Well, it depends. High school, it's high school. We may not have been real close if you're on the same teams. People are going through, puberty and things are happening in high school, so they may not be close.
I didn't have that on my bingo card today, but it works.
You didn't go through puberty in high school?
I did, but I wasn't thinking about talking about it.
Your voice didn't crack?
Durant makes the tackle. Down to Taylor.
Well, I talked to Cam Miller about the relationship with Adam Bach, and he said, look, we were both competitors. I was captain of the offense, he was captain of the defense, but both guys actually played both sides of the ball in football. Adam Bach was also a running back, and Cam said, if we needed a spark play, if we needed someone to turn the tables, we handed the ball to Adam Bach. So maybe not the closest of friends, but a ton of respect for the competitive level of each.
Yeah, interesting. And a curious start here. 3 straight runs for NDSU. Make it 4. Marshall upended. And on 2nd and 3, he's going to lose 3. Caleb Francel was able to break through. So another tackle behind the line for number 9 for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, I was talking with Mason McCormick. He played for the Jackrabbits last year. He said Caleb Francel always plays big in these games. He is yes, he's a great player, but in the biggest games, in the matchups versus our rival, he's the guy that's going to make a play. He gets off on 3rd down oftentimes, but 1st down, 2nd down, even 4th down, as we saw last series, Francel's on the field.
He's got 4 tackles, 2 behind the line of scrimmage already. The Nebraska native Caleb Francel. 3rd and 6. Miller. Guess what? He's going to run it. He'll have the 1st down. Across the 40. Adam Bach brought him down again, but a gain of 10.
And Roy, it's more than just the decisiveness that I'm seeing from Cam Miller. I'm seeing confidence. If the first read or second read isn't there, he's pulling it and he's running it with confidence. Yes, first read's not there, second read's not there. I'm going to pull it, I'm going to run it. I don't care what else happens. I know I'm going to get this 1st down. So it's good that he's decisive, but it's better that he's confident.
Run me at all costs on this drive. 3 carries, 25 yards. 38 now on the ground for the game for Cam Miller. Marty Brown, Jerry Rice Award winner, recognizing the top freshman in FCS football. He stopped by DePriest and McCoy. Cam Miller, we talked to him last week and we said, what was it like when you beat South Dakota State for the first time? An interesting analogy. He was like, it felt like as a hitter, I'm coming out of a slump offensively. It was a huge relief. And I think they battled in that Mercer game a week ago, looking ahead towards this game and knowing what could be at stake. The rivals coming to town. 2nd down in the flats. Pass caught by Penu. A gain of 3.
I love how you said the flats, where we were talking with the coaching staff yesterday. They call anything on the outside, like where the receivers are hanging out, they call that the burbs, the suburbs. They say the trenches are on the inside. All those receivers and DBs hang out, not on the flats, in the burbs.
That resonated with you a little bit, a big smile recounting that story.
Oh, for sure. Because this game is about the trenches. This game is about what happens on the inside. But at the end of the day, if Cam Miller and Coach Polasek and this North Dakota State team wants to win, they got to go out to the suburbs to get their W. Bryce Lance, they have advantages there.
7 in the box. Here comes Bach with a pressure. Miller sensing it, down he goes. Kobe Claiborne, the sack, big number 94. 4th sack of the season, 2nd in back-to-back games, and a loss of 8, and a drive killer.
We talk about what happens in the trenches. You're going to see Claiborne win on the inside. He's going to come in, set you on a loop, a 3-man stunt, and doesn't give Cam Miller enough time. But I will say this, Bryce Lance was covered early. He was open late. They're going to go back to that play later on.
He's already made a couple of big plays, including the touchdown. Tucker Large going to return the punt and stumbles crossing the 20. 43 on the punt, 6 on the return. Jackrabbits get it back. The 7-point lead after this. Well, back in snowy Fargo, what a time it was yesterday in the Fargo Moorhead Curling Club. Adventures were had by all. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. We learned how to curl, if you will. Shout out to our coaches, Brady, Alex, Connie, and Lincoln. They were tremendous. Sweet, we heard that early and often, Acho. What a great time.
Oh, it was a blast. And Lincoln, 11 years old, he started curling when he was in diapers. So he wasn't falling down like we were. But I got a question for you, Roy. Who won the battle?
You won it by about an inch. Which way are we turning? That way, yes. It was by an inch on the curl off.
Yeah, no. It's called Skips Rocks. Skips Rocks.
That's what it was.
To the victor go the Skips Rocks.
Goes the trash talking. Which,
TD, how did you do? How do you feel about it?
I'm used to it.
Honestly, it was way better than I anticipated. We may have found a new hobby. Who knows?
Hey, I'm about it. Hey, let's go again.
I know you are, Sam. We had to drag you out of there.
Let's go before we leave, man.
It literally was an inch with the final throw of the rock. Chase Mason carry the rock across the 25.
It's a game of inches.
It literally is, just like football.
Correct.
We had a great time. Shout out to our producer, Eric Postman, Jerome Ingram, for putting up with us through all those shenanigans. But good curling is how they call it when you meet and talk to the opponent beforehand. And perhaps we will end the show today with good curling.
I did tell Coach Polasek that we went and did that last night. He said, man, y'all are brave. That's way harder than it looks. So confirmed.
Yeah. The balance when you first step on the ice. Ranowski, the quarterback, and the ball pops out. Recovered by NDSU. The Bison get it back. Cody Heisman forced the football loose. And NDSU comes up with a critical turnover. And Rokes was able to pounce on it right before he caromed out of bounds. LaShaka Rokes, number 56.
Cody Heisman plays big in big-time moments. In their last matchup, Cody Heisman blocked an extra point. He also was a critical factor when it comes to this rivalry. And so Cody Heisman on the inside, getting pressure on Johnson, forcing that ball out, and LaShaka Rokes having full effort to the football. You never know when you're going to get rewarded. Your only job as a defender is to run to the football. If you run, you get rewarded. Cody Heisman, great play.
How hard is it to make sure you have full possession of the ball before you lay out of bounds on the dive?
Well, it's something that you actually practice. Every single week you work on fumble recovery drills.
Easier said than done. Into the flats. It's Lance, and that's a first down. Bryce Lance powers his way across the line to gain.
And Roy, just going back to that point, people think that in football things just naturally happen. Every single thing that happens you work on. You work on punching a ball out or stripping a ball out or avoiding a sack. You work on recovering the ball in the middle of a pile. You work on recovering the ball down on the sideline. You work on when is it time to scoop and score or when's it time to turn to the side and fall on that football. And so all these drills are actually pieced and parceled throughout practice.
It's an old school slugfest in Fargo. Penu straight ahead. On 1st and 10, Adam Bach corrals him. And a gain of 5 on first down. Here comes NDSU after the forced fumble. And the recovery by Rokes.
And this is why I love rivalry games. This game, I don't know if you felt it, but it felt as if the Jackrabbits were taking all the momentum. One more score, and it feels like they would get away with it. All of a sudden, one play, Cody Heisman makes a player, and now the momentum is swinging in the other direction.
Tim Polasek loves it. His team 12-2 in year number 1 is the head coach in Fargo. Of course, a former assistant under the great Craig Bowl. Marty Brown with an opening. Sprints across the 5. Goy the tackle. And a 4-yard pickup, 3rd and short.
Mentality, Roy, on a situation like this, when you're on the defense at least, it's the idea of sudden change. Because you're on the sideline, you're sitting on the bench, you're not worried about it, then all of a sudden you hear fumble, people start yelling sudden change, sudden change, sudden change. You sprint on the field and you realize this is an opportunity, not for the offense, but for you to be able to stop that momentum that the other team is trying to build.
Brown remains in at running back. Bison can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. They need 2 yards here. It's Brown straight ahead. It'll be 1st and goal from inside the 1.
They're getting into that hurry up. Usually get this hurry up. There's opportunities for quarterback power or inside zone. They don't want to give the defense time to be able to sub.
Brown has 14 touchdowns this season. Cam Miller's going to keep it. All he has to do is cross the plane. He was stopped inside the 1. 2nd and goal.
That essentially was that quarterback follow play. Hand it to the running back or fake the hand and then stay right behind him. Great job by Adam Bach making the stop. And we may be a little bit early for this, but the play by McGoy on the last play to stop Cam Miller at the 1-yard line. Now the play by Adam Bach. If they score, it doesn't matter. But if you get a stop, those 1, 2, or 3 stops from the 1-inch yard line mean everything.
They only need a couple of inches. Bo Johnson checks in as an extra offensive lineman for the Bison. Miller under center. Brown gets another touch, and he's going to be stopped behind the line. It'll be 3rd and goal. It was Adam Bach again.
We're talking about this game, right? Let's talk about this as a game of inches, but that's what this football is all about. McGoy makes the first. We have the 2-minute timeout. McGoy makes the first stop. Bach makes another one. And so this defense is saying, I don't care about the momentum that you think you have. I can make plays as well. So great job by McGoy and Bach. 4th and goal.
After the 2-minute timeout, Jackrabbits with a 7-point lead. But it's North Dakota State facing 3rd and goal against the defensive coordinator for the Jacks, Jesse Bobbitt, who has called a pretty good game thus far. Offense turned it over deep in SDSU territory moments ago, but Jesse Bobbitt, enjoyed our conversation with him this week. You mentioned it's almost like you were forecasting we were going to get this kind of sequence later in the game. When you get that first stop, momentum can carry you all the way to 3rd or maybe 4th and goal.
Well, it's not just momentum, it's belief. When you're on the defense, it doesn't matter what the offense does. You say, this is my opportunity. And so you get that stop at the 1-inch yard line, stop at the 3-inch yard line. Now you get a stop at the 1-yard line. Keep on getting stops to build your confidence.
5 straight runs after the pass, after the turnover. Cam Miller straight ahead again to the edge and the easy score. (14-13), the extra point to come with a spot in the championship on the line today in Fargo. Now, Jake Landry mentioned it to us yesterday. It's okay to advance the football ugly. It wasn't necessarily ugly, but it was physical. And the veteran Cam Miller crossing the goal line, and now we're tied.
This is the game we've all been waiting for. You see Cam Miller has patience. Dayton McGoy, number 0. He's too quick to go inside. Cam Miller ties it up.
Now, 2 great rivals continuing to fight. This matchup started way back in 1903. We're tied at 14. Here inside the Fargo Dome. And The NCAA FCS Championship game, we remind you, is Monday, January 6th, primetime at 7 p.m. Eastern, over on ESPN. For more information, visit ncaa.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. It's Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. 18,000 strong on hand in the Dakota Marker rivalry rematch. Now, quite the scene last night in South Bend, Indiana, where the Fighting Irish took care of business in a big way against IU and upstart Kurt Signetti. This is kind of a throwback affair today in Fargo. No talk of the portal, not really an in-depth conversation on NIL. It is football in its purest form here in the FCS playoffs. Woods still on his feet, and we check in for the first time with Matt Berry. Matthew. Amen. Let's do that, Samuel.
I'm all about it, but I will say this. It's way too cold in Fargo. It was -6 the other day. It was cold today. It was only like 10 today. I'm glad we're indoors.
We're inside.
It's still cold.
It is a little chilly. Mar Johnson on the screen. I don't think so. Sibumana able to bring him down quickly. Enoch Sibumana, and a loss of 2. And with under 2 minutes to go, South Dakota State a full complement of timeouts. Jackrabbits will hold on to those for the time being. Late give to Johnson, weaving his way ahead, diving across the line to gain. And a chain mover, it's a first down for the Jacks. Gain of 13.
And I love the way that this first offensive series and this 2-minute drive is starting so far. You start with the screen, unsuccessful. The next play, you go to essentially a draw, a run play. You get your success. You get your drive starter, and now all of a sudden you know you have the momentum to try and go down and score.
Jackrabbits will call a timeout. 2 remaining, and for Jimmy Rogers, thinking about what buttons he wants to press on this possession. And remember, the Bison will receive the second half kickoff after winning the coin toss and deferring. Mar Johnson starting to make his presence felt. Coming up next, Matthew Berry just mentioned it moments ago right here on ABC, the second FCS semifinal matchup. Number 1 seed and undefeated Bobcats of Montana State against the Coyotes of South Dakota. Trip to the championship January 6th on the line. That is at 3:30 Eastern. Headed your way from Bozeman. So after the timeout, Mark Gronowski back on the field. New set of downs. Good field position. He's got time, and across the middle, pass is caught. Brayton Gannon make his 7th reception of the season. Another first down. Clock stop for a moment, chains are reset. Here comes Gronowski again. On the move, fires that one into the turf outside of the pocket. The pressure by Lashaka Rokes.
Unbelievable pass rush by number 56, Lashaka Rokes. He gets Mark Gronowski off of his spot by beating the offensive line off the ball. When it's a hurry-up situation and you're a defender, you know they're going to snap it on the first sound. And so you don't have to guess, you have to worry about a hard count. If that clock is running, offense isn't wasting time. So great job by Rokes using his speed, but also his intelligence knowing the snap count.
Second down, Gronowski off the pump fake and grabbed right at the line to gain again. This time it's Wilde. So Griffin Wilde, the leading receiver, picks up the first.
We're seeing North Dakota State's playing a lot of zone, and Gronowski's finding the spaces and the voids within that zone.
And he's gotten the time these last 2 tosses. Voorhees bottled up. They have lost half a yard. Cody Heisman. And here comes another timeout. What's the mentality here for the Jackrabbits in a tie game? Hold on to that thought for a minute with 38 seconds to go. Tomorrow morning, kick off your Week 16 NFL Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, with the Countdown crew on ESPN and the ESPN app. They'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, previews, right up until kickoff. Speaking of the National Football League, there are ties to the NFL from a game like this, and in particular, the defending national champion 2 times over, Dallas Goedert. Think about what he's brought to the table. Tucker Kraft, Christian Roseboom, under the tutelage of Jimmy Rogers. And the list goes on and on. You mentioned Mason McCormick, Isaiah Davis, Pierre Strong, and a host of others. There have been NFL talent emanating from Brookings.
That's the benefit of going to a program like South Dakota State or even North Dakota State. You can play big-time football and still make it to the NFL as a high draft pick.
After the timeout, Gronowski launching. Wilde in the area. The coverage was ample. And it was Jalen Crumby, 40 yards down the field. 3rd and long.
We talk about critical moments in games, Roy, and yes, there's a conversation about NFL and all those things, but this is one of those moments, the end of half situation, where the offense has a potential to be able to create points before the half ends.
Crowd on its feet on 3rd down. Gronowski wants to run with it, and he will not. Sibumana able to sneak through. No gain on the play. It's 4th and 11.
In the same way that the offense has an opportunity to create points momentum, the defense does as well. Number 14, Enoch Sibumana, blitzes off the edge and essentially felt like he knew what was going to happen, right? Hey, I know it's 3rd and long. Quarterback draw, watch out for it. So great job by Sibumana with the blitz off the edge, creating a negative play.
Interesting, neither side utilizing a timeout on what proves to be the final play of the first half in Fargo. And let's see if a timeout was called.
Dakota State, their final timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout. Please put 3 seconds on the game clock, please. 3 seconds.
So the Jackrabbits snuck in with 3 seconds to go and called a timeout. The Bison were headed towards the locker room, and for Jimmy Rogers, honestly, it's the right call. You take one shot to the end zone, and let's see if Will D or one of these tight ends can come down with it.
You say it's the right call. I still think it's a relatively risky call. You say, okay, there's no harm, no foul, but sometimes you make a call like this, you throw that Hail Mary, and then the defense knows it's coming, interception, you have lesser athletes on the field, i.e. offensive linemen. So I get the idea that there is no risk, but there is a bit of risk on calling a timeout with 1 second left if you want to throw a Hail Mary.
I hate agreeing with you, but I'm going to do it here because we saw that with Carson Beck against Texas just last month in the championship game. Last play, banged up, weird things happen.
This is true, very
You're on
true.
to something.
Carson Beck, yeah, fumbled that ball, and Texas nearly got some points and a half.
Changed the complexion perhaps of the entire playoff at the FBS level. Bison only rushing 3. And another timeout will be called by NDSU.
And Roy, you wonder, okay, why would North Dakota State call a timeout? Well, the reason why is they want to see what formation that the offense goes into. And now that you see that formation, you go back to your film review and say, okay, I've seen these plays before. This is the exact type of Hail Mary that they'll try to run, or maybe this is the type of play they'll run in order to try and get points. And so the great thing about having timeouts in your pocket at the end of half is that you can actually have eyes on what an offense or defense is going to do, then communicate that with your team.
So in your mind, they go to the defensive playbook and they say, this is what we've seen with previous Hail Mary attempts. This is what we need to expect here.
Correct. Some teams have a 2-by-2 formation, 2 receivers on one side, 2 receivers on the other. Some teams have 3 on one side, 1 on the other. They all run to the same spot. Some teams, they have one guy run to one spot and then different areas. And so Olsen wanted to see it. Defensive coordinator Grant Olsen wanted to see it first and communicate, make sure his guys know exactly what to do.
Did you have a call down to the sideline because they line up in victory formation? No Hail Mary after the timeout. And the half ends on a kneel down by Gronowski. Tied at 14, South Dakota State and North Dakota State. 30 minutes in the books with a spot in Frisco and the championship on the line. When we come back, Matt Berry, Rini, and Golia be by with a halftime report after a message and a word from our ABC stations. And welcome back to the FCS playoffs on ABC. Inside a packed house in the Fargo Dome, we are tied 14 points apiece. One of the great rivalries in the FCS, South Dakota State and North Dakota State. And remember, the winner of this game advances to the national championship in Frisco in prime time that Monday night, January 6th. Awaiting the winner of our second semifinal later today from Bozeman, Montana, between the Bobcats and the Coyotes, Montana State and South Dakota. He's Sam Acho, I'm Roy Philpott. Taylor Davis joins us on the sideline in just 1 minute. An entertaining first half between these two rivals.
Yeah, we saw a couple momentum shifts. South Dakota State had a lot of momentum, then all of a sudden things started to change. And so you see a lot of teams that know each other. Both teams know each other really well. But you saw the big turning point, I would argue, was number 50, Cody Heisman. The forced fumble on Amar Johnson had his Heisman moment, if you will, and then recovered by LaShaka Ropes. LaShaka Ropes recovers it, and all of a sudden Cam Miller gets into the end zone. You were down 14-7. That makes it 14-14. All of a sudden, we've got ourselves a game.
Cam Miller, Mark Gronowski playing well, entertaining first two quarters in the books. Jackrabbits able to run the football more effectively. And then Cam Miller doing Cam Miller things, a pair of starting quarterbacks that have won a combined 3 national championships. These two programs have combined to win 11 of the last 13 national titles at the FCS level. And the Bison set to receive the football first. Gives us a moment to check in with Taylor Davis.
Well, I spoke with both coaches at the half, and for Coach Polisek, he said obviously the turnover and the big play has made a difference in the first half, but so did that stop right before the half. He said keeping them off the scoreboard was a huge deal, and I encouraged them at halftime, build on that momentum. He said, I would love to start fast with a score here on this first drive, saying that his quarterback, Cam Miller, is willing them through this game, but he recognized this is a scrappy defense. He told his guys, you have to be prepared to empty the tank. And as for Jimmy Rogers, an emphasis on better tackling. He said our defense has to play with more juice, yelling at his guys as we walked off, get your mind right.
And the former South Dakota State linebacker, certainly makes sense. Cam Miller on first down, chopped down after a gain of 9 by Tucker Large. And 2 players remain down on the turf, one for each side, including Caleb Fransel, kneeling down near the 29-yard line. Cam Miller on the ground has been effective, 9 rushes, 41 yards. We expect that trend to continue, and Fransel quickly to his feet. Sam, what is it like 15 games into a season, battling injuries and the bumps and the bruises? Because we heard from both sides this week, it really is a thing. You've experienced it.
It is a thing. It's a mentality. You understand that you are tired and you are injured or hurt, whatever people want to describe it as. You're going through something, but you also understand that the other team is as well. So there are no excuses. You play through the pain, you think about all the work you put in the offseason, and then what you do is you try to overcome. Now, there are different situations where if a guy who can't play, they can't play. But as far as bangs and bruises, it's football.
Raja Nelson demonstrating that right now, up to his feet, without assistance. He was on the turf for about 90 seconds. The senior grabbed 3 touchdowns this season. Great friends with Cam Miller, along with Braylon Henderson. The 3 train together in the summer. They go on spring break trips to Jersey and Florida in the summer, the spring. And Nelson, because he was down, has to exit the playing surface, at least for 1 snap. 2nd and 1, Penu, a running back. Miller wide open, first down and a lot more. Chris Harris, 29th catch of the season, ahead to midfield and a gain of 17.
I think what makes this play important is that it's empty formation, meaning if you're an inside linebacker, you're thinking, okay, I have to be a little bit tighter in my drops. You're seeing the linebackers drop extremely wide. Well, when it's empty, there's no running back in the middle of the formation, so you have to be able to make sure you're keeping eyes on your work. And so great job by the offense recognizing that the defense isn't ready or prepared for the empty formation, nobody in the backfield.
And you wonder when Cam Miller wants to find his good buddy Bryce Lance on a deep ball at some point on this drive. Miller on the ground again. Upended at the 45. That was one thing Jake Landry talked about with us. First game, 13-9 win. We didn't take enough shots early, and Landry even admitted, wanted to make sure we didn't do anything to lose the game or put ourselves in a bad position early. Today, he said we got to cut it loose, and we need to do so early, and he already has.
Well, we saw it early in the first drive of the game. A lot of passes. Cam Miller was 4 for 4. Then they moved toward the run game, which was still successful. So I'm expecting early in this second half for North Dakota State to get back to that downfield passing attack.
You saw Landry. Lance with 3 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Nelson's back on the field, and on the screen, it was Tucker Large. Well, he snipped it out, a loss of 3.
But it wasn't just Tucker Large, it's also Caleb Francel, number 9. Make sure you keep your eyes on him on this play. He sets the edge of the defense. He runs through the blocker, and so when you're an edge player, all you have to do is set the edge on the defense. Great job by Caleb Francel and Tucker Large, but specifically Francel setting the edge, forcing it back.
Francel on the sideline. SDSU defense already with 5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage this afternoon. 3rd down and 9. Miller off the back foot, launching. Incomplete. Looking in the seam for Braylon Henderson. It's the first time he's been targeted. And Tilford in coverage from his free safety position. Was in position. And it's 4th and 9.
And one thing I love, Roy, we talk about knowing your role and doing your job. Caleb Francel has made multiple plays, but on 3rd down, he's oftentimes off the field. But what he does on 1st and 2nd down, to me, means everything. He even had a 4th down player who made a critical play. And so sometimes owning your role means more than trying to make every single splash play.
Caden Steindorf hits it in that coffin corner. Karams into the end zone for the touchback. 12:27 to go in the 3rd, tied at 14 in Fargo. Back after this. And welcome back to the FCS semifinal here in Fargo. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, great rivals, tied at 14. And Jimmy Rogers, the head coach, year number 2, defending national champion. You go back to his playing days in Brookings. He was a linebacker. How about the lettuce flowing out of the helmet? It was glorious, the mullet. Back in the day, it was extended, Samuel Acho.
Yeah, and I don't have that problem, extended mullets, but I will say this, that it's a great opportunity. The head coach of this team played in this rivalry as a linebacker. He understands it deeply. He understands the hatred, the respect. We talked to him earlier. I asked him, I said, what do you like least about the other team? He said, it's their success. But he said, in some ways, that's created what we are. So it's this rivalry brewing.
Bernowski hands it off late, and Amar Johnson is going to lose a couple. That last point is the most intriguing to me because he basically admitted we are where we are because of what North Dakota State has done. I think the Bison would tell you we want to get back to where we were, but we've got to go through SDSU to get there. 2 programs separated by 190 miles, but intertwined in so many unique ways.
Well, yeah, that's the best thing, Roy, about competition. It brings out the best in people. And so when you're competing teams or competing brands, think about Nike and Under Armour. I mean, it brings out the best. That's what we heard from Jimmy Rogers.
Throwback matchup in Fargo. Bernowski on 2nd and long. Against the grain, Wilde's got it. Tried to break free into the open field. It'll be 3rd and short after a gain of 12, and the Turf Monster snuck up a couple of times a day for each side.
Correct, but I love what I saw from Mark Gronowski. There was pressure in his face, but his eyes stayed downfield. I think part of it is his size. He knows that he can accept hits. And so the pressure comes on the inside. It doesn't affect him. His eyes are down the field. He finds Griffin Wilde to get him in 3rd and manageable.
Voorhees on the field at running back. 3rd and 1. Jackrabbits substituted late. Voorhees stopped behind the line of scrimmage, driven backwards. It'll be 4th down, and it was Logan Kopp. The mechanical engineering major and the man anchoring this NDSU defense.
And it's not just anchoring, he's moving. And anchor stops, he's running through contact. That's one thing I love about Logan Kopp. When he hits you, you feel it. He's not slowing down, he's speeding up, he's accelerating through contact. That's what great football players do, specifically at the linebacker position.
It's a loss of a yard. And Jackson Williams calls for the fair catch. Well, a fascinating conversation we had yesterday with Logan Kopp, the junior linebacker who single-handedly delivered the win late 63 days ago here in this ballpark. Popeye syndrome is what they call it when the tendon tears away from the bicep and the muscle springs upwards. He was playing with that when he made the game-winning interception. He had a swollen knee as well in that game. It all happened in the first quarter against the Jackrabbits. Showing it off with pride yesterday. It's never really going to heal properly, Sam. But, man, he made the game-winning play. It's worth having that for the rest of your life, I think.
It doesn't have to heal, man. You got the biceps like that, I'll take it. Popeye syndrome, but you talked about it. Not just the first quarter, the first series. Tears the tendon, but makes the game-winning play.
He's got 6 tackles to lead the Bison defense so far. And it was a fun conversation for a guy that's probably reluctant to become a coach after he graduates here, but you could hear it in his voice when he watches film and how he studies tendencies. When he picked off that pass intended for Griffin Wilde in that game-winning interception, he went through the whole sequence with us, and he knew step for step what likely was to happen. That's how it went down, and that's why the Bison won that game.
Talk about becoming a coach. He's getting recruited by his current coach, Grant Olson, to come and be a part of the coaching staff when he's done playing. He's extremely cerebral as a football player.
On second down, Miller lofts one, incomplete. Makai Collins was targeted. Dallas Peenham in coverage. Quickly, it's third down.
Cerebral, but also physical. Going back to Grant Olson, he said he's one of the rare football players, Logan Kopp being that player, that is smart, but also a good football player. A lot of times people get knocked for being smart. Oh, you need to be tough, physical. No, he's tough, he's physical, but he uses his intellectual capacity for success.
Ken Miller has been dangerous third down situations in these FCS playoffs. Bison need 9 yards here. Under 10 to go in the third. Miller escapes again. Off the pump fake again. Dragged down to the 25. Graham Spalding. And the Jackrabbits force a 3 and out.
And that's a great job, Roy, by knowing your opponent. People say, show me my opponent, know your opponent. So this defense knows their opponent. Graham Spalding, Adam Bach, the 2 inside linebackers are playing zone, but they know their opponent. They have their eyes, yes, in their zone, but also on the quarterback. They know he loves to run it. They know he's probably going to run it. So Graham Spalding stays in his zone, but understands the assignment.
Caden Steindorf, a wobbler. The fair catch made at the 27. After a punt of 46, Tucker Large hauls it in. Jackrabbits get it back. Tied at 14 here in the FCS semifinals. The first of 2 headed your way today on ABC. And don't forget, coming up later tonight, college football playoff first round will be capped off in the Horseshoe in Columbus. Ohio State and Tennessee get down to business at 8 Eastern on ESPN and ABC. Dylan Sampson, the talented running back for the Vols out of the FCC in the heart of Big Ten country. And we have been told that there are going to be a lot of Big Orange fans in attendance for this matchup. One of the main reasons why Dylan Sampson in that defense.
Yeah, Dylan Sampson has been outstanding as a running back. James Pierce on the defensive side has been great as well. I think it's going to come down, though, to quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Will he throw interceptions? Will he get sacked? How will the defense look for Ohio State? What will Lathan Ransom and Caleb Downs do, the safeties? That's what I'm excited about from that one.
Ryan Day wants to get that first round win the worst way. Off of play action, Gronowski, and incomplete to Kevin Brenner. He's got 6 catches on this season. And if that was number 7, that would have resulted in a first down. Interesting how the first 2 playoff games have gone. Last night in South Bend, Notre Dame blowout. 2 late touchdowns by IU late, kind of a deceiving score, 27-17. And so far in Happy Valley, a 4th touchdown lead at halftime against the ACC's SMU. Clemson and Texas at 4 over on TNT. Buckeyes and Vols tonight on ABC and ESPN. On second down, Gronowski guns one across the middle, and it's caught. The tight end, Stoffel. Crumby punched him down, a gain of 20. Give Gronowski time, he can survey, deliver the goods. That was a missile
And that's what scouts see, and that's where scouts salivate. They see him in the pocket. He's a bigger quarterback. He's 6'3", 230, but he has a cannon for an arm. There was zone coverage. The linebackers didn't get deep enough, and if you give Mark Gronowski time, he will slice and dice you apart.
Chase Mason back on the field along with Gronowski. Mason will keep it and tackled behind the line. Marcus Gully. And that's going to be a loss of 4.
So when Chase Mason's in the game, he's another quarterback. This is a 2-quarterback system, but you know that he usually runs the ball when he has it. So as a defender, you're not playing pass at all. You're running through blocks, you're getting off blocks, and you're making the play. That's what Marcus Gully was able to do. Forget about the pass in this situation. It's going to be quarterback run. This is my job to make the play.
Sounds like you were in the film room, and your key was, when Mason's there, I'm taking off towards the line.
Bingo.
Gronowski retreats. The pump fake. And incomplete. A tough pass looking for Prejean. And Darius Vance in coverage. Gibbons, rather, the sophomore out of Minnesota. 3rd and 14.
And now's the time, Roy. 3rd and long. I'm looking at the defensive line. Last play, it was Cody Heisman who got the pressure right in Gronowski's face. They've been a lot of zone. I would bring pressure. If I'm North Dakota State, sure, disguise all you want, but bring pressure, make it uncomfortable for Gronowski. Do not give him time to get the ball down the field.
Pressure. Gronowski right up the middle. Stop short of the line to gain. It'll be 4th and about 4. Ryan Jones. Jackrabbits are in plus territory. With this game, the momentum and the defenses have kind of settled in a little bit. You don't get the sense Jimmy Rogers wants to be aggressive. And Hunter Dustman trots on the field, the punter.
But I wouldn't blame him if he were aggressive. This is a situation where you have 4th and 4 in plus territory. So a fake punt isn't the worst thing. Your defense has played well. We're talking about puberty. You heard my voice crack. The defense has played well, so I wouldn't be mad if you ran a fake right now.
Dustman will kick it away. And Jackson Williams at the 8. After a punt of 37, the Bison get it back, and a rock fight in Fargo. We remain tied at 14.
We welcome you back inside the Fargo Dome. We are deadlocked at 14, and the South Dakota State defense down here on the sideline, the message has been consistent. D-line coach Jalen Bibbs gathering his guys saying, you cannot give Cam Miller time. He said, I don't care if it's pretty, I don't care if it's perfect, but you have to be physical with this guy. He said, take ownership of the line of scrimmage and drive through their blocks.
And to that point, we have yet to call the name of Vanden Bosch, DePriest, Balloon, Claiborne. Bison firing off the ball with that offensive front. And Marty Brown to the 10, a gain of 2. His nickname is Marty, full name Chamar, the FCS Freshman of the Year, the Jerry Rice Award winner, battling through a toe injury once again today.
And Roy, it's funny, this is a huge game. Playoffs are on the line, championships on the line, big time rivals, pride's on the line, but it's coming down to the fundamentals. It's coming down to running through blocks. It's coming down to technique. I don't care what level of football you play. In the biggest games, it's all about the little things, fundamentals, techniques, eyes, hands, and feet.
It's turned out to be the game in the noon window here on this Saturday. Postseason games around the country. Brown again, shoestring tackle. He'll pick up 4. Bison. 9 national championships in 11 seasons, starting well over a decade ago. Jackrabbits, new kids on the block, if you will. They've won the last 2. Does not get much better than this in terms of elite football at the FCS level. 2 teams that send talent into the league at the line of scrimmage. At tight end, and Dallas Goddard, Mason McCormick, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, Cam Miller. The comeback route is there to the younger brother of Trey Lance, Bryce Lance. And a first down on 3rd and 4.
Now go back to the confidence that I'm hearing when we talk to these coaches, quarterback, and even Bryce Lance, there's a level of trust. Bryce Lance is one-on-one, so he's going to act like he's going vertical, stop on a dime, and come back to the football. The best thing about this route is that was not the primary, secondary, maybe even not the tertiary read for Cam Miller, but there's a level of trust and confidence in not just his receiver, but his offensive line. Great job by Lance, better job by the O-line and the QB.
5 in green and gold told us yesterday there's an unspoken chemistry between me and Cam Miller. And it probably didn't exist in the first matchup between these two teams. Adam Bach a tackle, that was against Brown after a gain of just 1, but that chemistry has resulted in enormous numbers so far, Taylor.
Well, veteran wide receiver Braylon Henderson had all the receivers lined up pregame, hyping him up, and he turned to Bryce Lance and said, "You're a dog, go show that today." And the coaches told us this game in the regular season was really the first time he stepped into that confidence. It's been on display here today.
He has been on a major heater second part of the season. He's caught 14 touchdown passes. Hard to stay with him deep down the field. Miller looking long. Takes off again. Cam Miller, it's what he does best today. And another first down.
He almost runs, Roy, as if he knows he's going to get the first down. He don't even care. It's like, okay, boom, I'll take my time. And then look, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. I mean, he does not waste time.
Bison not wasting time offensively, using tempo. Penu picks up 3. Colby Humphrey chopped him down low. 3 minutes remaining. Fast moving third quarter in this game. All the explosive fireworks we had early. Feels more like October 19th late. Five runs and 1 pass so far on this possession for NDSU. Trying to get back to Frisco for the first time in 2 years. Miller again. Long throw to Penu. Came back for it. Spun around. The ball comes out. And corralled by NDSU. And we saw Caleb Francel was right beside the football. He didn't know it. And Kamanye was the injured player.
That's a great forced fumble by Kamanye, to your point, Roy. And now Francel looks like he's on the ground, which would be critical loss. We're going back to the play. You see the time in the pocket. Great throw by Miller. Kamanye sprinting to the ball. Francel.
Randy Kamanye, senior out of Minnesota, getting the football loose. That ball was on the turf. It felt like forever. And Mekhi Collins was able to bounce right on top of it. The result of the play ends up being a first down, so a lot to unpack with Francel remaining on the turf. And it took Caleb some time to turn into the player that he has been this season. Now as senior. And Jesse Bobbitt referenced that, our conversations with him, even talking with Jimmy Rogers pregame. Francel walked right past us and he said, "Look at that number 9. Gave him some arms in the weight room, and he has been an absolute menace defensively. Waited for his time to shine, and it's been there, and unfortunate to see him on the turf."
He talked about it. He said, man, imagine former walk-on and this kind of smaller guy, but put on muscle and in a lot of ways helps embody what this team is all about, is what Coach Jimmy Rogers was saying.
It will be 1st and 10 for NDSU, and Francel, number 9, just coming in head first on the spin by Penu. And Mekhi Collins, right place at the right time.
And I know, Roy, football is a physical, some people use the word violent sport. So you're doing whatever you can to go and make a play, and you see the head drop, and it seems as if that Francel is able to sit up, which is a huge positive. 6'1", 195 senior, human biology major from Grand Island, Nebraska. One of the key leaders on this, not only this defense, but the entire team.
Well, you think back to last season, SDSU opens up the year with Iowa. They ended up giving up 7 points in that game, not via touchdown. It was 2 safeties and a field goal. Franzel tore his ACL in that game. An interception against the Hawkeyes. Was out and came back this season. So his story, one that is long and complex.
Even Roy, just going back to Franzel and some of his story, I got a chance to talk with Mason McCormick, who played at South Dakota State. Now he's starting offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I asked him to say, what are you expecting in this matchup? And one of the first names he mentioned was Caleb Franzel. He said he always steps up in this game. So we've seen him make play after play. Now, by the grace of God, he's up and he's walking. That is phenomenal to see, especially after a hit like that.
Toughness, certain amount of grit. 6 tackles, 2 behind the line of scrimmage, and a PBU today for number 9 for the Jacks.
And as he's walking off, Roy, my mind starts going to, okay, what is next? So who steps in for him, and will they be able to have the same impact as he does?
Well, it's Chase Van Tol, who has seen more time lately. Number 28 for the Jackrabbits. This Bison drive started at their own 8-yard line. Eighth play of the possession. Penu driven down. 2nd and 10.
I mean, Taylor said it earlier, line of scrimmage. That was a huge play at the line of scrimmage. You're right at the defensive line. You beat your blocker, and then you win. It's as simple as that. And so for me, I look at just the technique, little things that help defenses win.
Reese Kirschenman able to break through. Number 97, a redshirt freshman, South Dakota native. First time we've called his name today. Miller across the middle. He came in high and incomplete, and a dangerous toss to TK Marshall. So from 1st and 10 to 3rd and 11. Bison 60% on 3rd down today.
And this game has happened in swings, but the offense still has opportunities down the field. It hasn't been stopped yet. For me, part of me says, hey, go back to Bryce Lance. Go back to attacking not just the middle of the field, attack the outside. You can win on these corners if you attack them.
Lance at the bottom of the screen. Miller goes the other way into the seam. Nelson climbed the ladder, could not bring it in. Colby Humphrey in coverage. He caught the game winner on October 19th here at the Fargo Dome. Could not haul that one in there.
Yeah, great job by Humphrey, but even better job by number 26, Colton Tilford. So this is a zone, and in zone you have to get depth. And so right there in the middle of your screen, 26 is going to get depth right on the hashes, and depth and depth. It makes Cam Miller throw that ball a little bit higher. Now that ball still could have been caught by Rajon Nelson, but great job by the defense getting depth and forcing a little bit more air under that ball.
3rd consecutive possession for the Bison, ending in a punt. Dallas Beanham, no fair catch. Stop at the 16. Jackrabbits will get it back. Back-to-back national titles achieved in Frisco. We take you back nearly 2 years ago. Bison and the Jackrabbits. Mark Gronowski got the job done late in the 45-21 victory. And then this past January, South Dakota State over Montana. The Grizz make an appearance in Frisco, and it wasn't even that close, 23-3. As Gronowski and new head coach Jimmy Rogers got the job done. It was John Stiglmeyer, of course, 2 years ago. He retired, going out on top, as Dallas Beanham remains down for the Jacks after that punt return.
I got a chance, Roy, to connect with Coach Stig and meet Mark Gronowski and some of the NFL guys, Isaiah Davis, and and Mason McCormick 2 or 3 years ago before they started making this run. And there was this sense of confidence. There was this sense of, hey, we know what we haven't done, but we know where we need to go. When head coach Jimmy Rogers said it, he said, I don't like the other team's success, but their success has forced us to not only be different, but be better. So the rivalry is producing greatness on both sides.
Jimmy Rogers and this team on an unprecedented run when you think about it. They're 10 straight wins in these FCS playoffs, all coming by double digits, including those 2 national championship games in Frisco we just showed you. And Beanham unable to put pressure on that left leg. Coming off the field, not a good sign. Starting corner for the Jackrabbits and key punt returner. Seven in the box. Gronowski, slant pattern, incomplete. Ogroski slid down to try to make the catch. David Alpers also had a little extracurricular activity in that direction. 2nd and 10.
And he had that one. I mean, that was essentially an RPO play, wide open. So that's one that you want to and you have to hit if you want to start building some momentum. This third quarter has slowed down a bit, but the way to take the game from the other team is by hitting the open plays. That was an open one that he has to get.
Penalty marker flies in. Amar Johnson in the suburbs with the reception across the 20. 5-yard pickup on 2nd down. Clean game for the most part in terms of infractions so far. Just 2 combined penalties.
Offside. Defense number 93 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay 2nd down.
It's Toby Anena. And the NCAA FCS championship game Monday, January 6th. That's 2025. 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Primetime matchup. For more information, visit NCAA.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. Take away the reception, accept the penalty yardage. 2nd and 5. It'll be 3rd down and at least 6. Amar Johnson. No running room available. And Lashaka Rokes. All kinds of big plays in this game for 56 in green and gold.
Correct, and that's another line of scrimmage play. No matter what team it is, you're seeing 2 line of scrimmage games. Offense, defense are finding ways to dominate at the line and force 3rd and long.
Bison with 8 stops behind the line of scrimmage. And a scoreless 3rd quarter comes to a close. 4 fingers up in the Fargo Dome, tied at 14. 4th quarter coming up after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
1 quarter remains here inside the Fargo Dome. I'm with North Dakota State head coach Tim Polasek. Coach, tied in the 4th quarter. You told me your team would have to empty the tank. How did they do it here?
Well, it's the 4th quarter and we're at home. And we take a lot of pride in putting 4 fingers up, and we need to finish this thing. You know, we warned everybody this was going to be an unbelievable defensive college football game, and we've gotten everything we want.
Thanks for the time. Good luck.
Appreciate you.
Great sound from the head man himself, Tim Polasek. He made sure he was ready and waiting for Taylor for that interview. 3rd and long to begin our final 15 minutes. Gronowski slides at the line of scrimmage. Nowhere close to the line to gain. It'll be 4th down for the Jackrabbits, and Gronowski, Sam, slow to get up.
And he's not a guy who's used to seeing slide. So you wonder, as he brisks off the field, how healthy he is to finish this game.
The Bison have been just about unbeatable in the Fargo Dome. Their FCS playoff record here in the friendly confines, 1 loss in 38 tries. Only time it happened, 2016 against JMU. Dustman sends it to Williams, and a fair catch at the 30. After a 50-yard punt, nothing on the return. A 2nd half that has seen 6 possessions, 6 punts, split right down the middle, between both programs.
Yeah, it feels almost like a heavyweight fight. Early on in the game, you saw the big-time hits, the big-time punches. Now the second half, third quarter is slowed down a little bit, more defensive structure. But sooner or later, one of these teams is going to have to take it. They're going to have to take victory from the jaws of not necessarily defeat, but a tie.
The winner gets the winner of Montana State and South Dakota. Second semifinal coming up later today. Here's a reverse. Jackson Williams to the edge. A first down and a gain of 11. We were told to expect a reverse at some point by Jake Landry, depending on how the linebackers for SDSU were moving laterally. He calls it here.
Yeah, and it's great to see just a little bit deeper in the playbook. So one thing that's great about South Dakota State, they love to run to the football. Well, if you run to the football, it's hard to stop reverses because you're running one way and the ball goes the opposite way. And so I want to see Jake Landry get into his bag a little bit. He talked about how conservative he was in the first game and opening the playbook in this one. I think that's what we need to see more of, like we saw in the first quarter in the first series.
I mean, Sam, that has been the run game so far for NDSU. Cam Miller, that reverse. Bryce Lance. And it was Raja Nelson picking up the first down. So the Bison putting together a drive in South Dakota State territory.
And Roy, it's been a lot of quarterback run like we talked about. It's been a little bit of Bryce Lance, but I think you can go a little bit more. A little bit more of that Bryce Lance, a little bit more. Feel free to do the quarterback run, have the defense run to you. But play action, Lance, could be a good thing.
Jamar Brown in the backfield, play action. Miller wants it all. He's got a man, and it's caught. Bryce Lance for the touchdown. Bison back in front. The longest play of the game. You called it, my friend. And don't look now, but the younger brother of Trey Lance has produced a career high 115 yards today when his team has needed him the most.
Defensive players are human beings. You see the quarterback run so often, you get your eyes on him. But when you get your eyes on him, the receivers get their bodies behind you. Bryce Lance behind the defense for the touchdown.
Bison back in front. Another touchdown grab by Bryce Lance and his father Carlton Lance looking on, a former cornerback, the Canadian Football League. Walk me through this play.
Well, you have Adam Bach, a linebacker, trying to cover a receiver in Bryce Lance. The reason that matters is that the defensive structure is to try to stop the quarterback run. And so Bryce Lance sees that structure and says, okay, not only am I going to be on a linebacker, but the backside safety is going to be playing that run as well. If I stay patient and get behind the defense, I'll be able to get a touchdown. And so you see the confidence and the patience from Bryce Lance and the play calling by this North Dakota State Bison football team.
15 touchdown receptions on the season. That ties the very top in the FCS ranks for scoring grabs. Maxwell Woods, a late penalty marker coming in. And driven down to the 23 by Noah Taylor. We'll check the infraction. Just 3 penalties today, all coming against NDSU. It's been a clean game, a throwback game, well-played game on both sides.
During the return, holding, number 13 in the return team. The penalty is 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
First penalty called against the Jackrabbits today. Donnerman, guilty party. And this place is about to get really loud.
We talk about the way this game has felt, like a prime fight. Well, one team took their shot, and now they feel the energy in the stadium and the arena going against them. So the other team has an opportunity.
Lamar Johnson trying to get to the edge. Finally does, and ushered out hard, crossing the 10. It was a clean hit, no penalty marker. Johnson, a patient finish. Coming right into your kitchen on that play.
Yeah, patient, but let's go back to that word discipline. Could have been a tackle for loss, but great job by Lamar Johnson staying patient, but having the discipline to get a few yards upfield. I know we said clean hit. To me, it felt a little late, but hey, this is that kind of football. Givens with the hit. Rivalry game.
Power look, multiple quarterbacks. Mason throws it late, a dangerous pass. Voorhees was in the area, never turned around for the football. It'll be 3rd down and 8, the loudest moment of this football game in Fargo coming up right now.
And the first time that we've really seen the crowd get involved. The great thing about home field advantage when you're the defensive side of the ball is that when the crowd is loud, the offense cannot hear their snap count. So for defensive linemen, you can get off the ball quicker than the offensive linemen and get in their backfield faster. So home field advantage plays a huge time advantage for the defensive line.
It's a race to Gronowski. He unloads. Man-to-man coverage. Weldy turns around, makes a spinning reception. And a first down for the Jackrabbits, a gain of 27 on 3rd and long.
A big time advantage for the defensive line, but not so much for the corners and safeties. Griffin Wilde's in one-on-one against Jalen Crumby. He likes his leverage, likes his matchup. Perfectly placed ball on the outside shoulder for Griffin Wilde. So quarterback-receiver connection, but also the matchup that you want to find. Griffin Wilde in the slot usually wins.
Started to flash a season ago, has assumed an incredible role for Mark Gronowski just as a sophomore this season. On the handoff, Woods. 1-yard gain, and that's it. Winner of this game will get the winner of our 2nd semifinal kickoff just moments from now. Over in Bozeman, Montana, undefeated Bobcats against South Dakota. And that championship heads your way Monday night, January 6th at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Right there after the start of the new year. Top 4 seeds have made it this far. 2 versus 3 today in Fargo. Johnson lost a yard. Kubitz a tackle. It'll be 3rd and long.
We're seeing some of that passion from the fans permeate its way down to the football field. The players are feeling the energy. The defense is feeding off of the energy. And then all of a sudden, you build confidence. It's that momentum. Your heart starts to beat a little fast. For some people, it slows down. But these are the plays, 3rd and long, 4th quarter, up by a score, where the players get to make.
Pressure, it's picked up. Gronowski across the middle, and another conversion on 3rd and long. Grayton Gannon, 2nd catch of this semifinal. And into NDSU territory, a 12-yard gain on 3rd and 10.
Yeah, these teams know each other. Great job picking up the blitz. North Dakota State showed one way, they came the other. Great job by the offensive line picking up that pressure and allowing Mark Gronowski time to find his receivers in the zone.
Gronowski across the middle again, a first down. Lamar Johnson. Nobody home, still on his feet. Tumbling down at the 16, and Lamar Johnson, the soft hands, picks up 31.
Yeah, soft hands, but great eyes by Gronowski again. The pressure comes, he finds his running back out of the backfield. That's him. Lamar Johnson in the backfield. The pressure comes, but sometimes when you bring pressure, you forget to guard him. If you're blitzing, you have to eat up the running back. You have to run through him. Don't run around him. So great job by quarterback and running back being on the same page.
Enoch Sibomana, the injured Bison, remains down near the 17. An injury timeout as we step aside. Jackrabbits on the move. Back at this FCS semifinal matchup in Fargo, 21-14. The Bison leading the Jackrabbits. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. Don't forget week 16. Monday Night Football is back at Lambeau Field. The 10-4 Packers hosting the Saints at 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, as well as ESPN Deportes. And you think back to some of the talent from South Dakota State that's made its way into the league. Tucker Kraft, what a great job he's done for the Pack this year. The numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, I love seeing the talent from both teams in the NFL. Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert, Mason McCormick, Trey Lance. There's so much talent on this football field right now that you're going to watch on Sundays.
It was a stack dive for a minute. Gronowski looking end zone, front pylon, Wilde. Contact incomplete. No penalty marker. Drifting over with the coverage. Wilde was spun around in the process.
Good coverage, especially at the beginning, by Anthony Chideme Alfaro. Thought there was a little bit of tug at the end. That definitely could have been called. Early on, good coverage. Late, I guess it was hidden from the referee.
Chideme Alfaro perhaps got away with one. Gronowski plows ahead across the 15. He'll make something out of nothing. 3rd and long. Luke Wirtz is healthy again today, at least healthy enough to play. He made the tackle. Sam, my question on 3rd down and long is Jimmy Rogers thinking we got 2 downs to pick up this first?
I wouldn't blame him if he is thinking that way. There's about 8 minutes left in the game. You're down by a touchdown. This game has gone in runs, and so you know that you don't want field goals in games like these. Your quarterback is big, he's strong, he's tough. If nothing's available in the pass game, he can tuck it and run, or you can run it in order to run it again.
Gronowski has converted on 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 10 on this drive so far. He needs 8 more here. Towards the end zone, pass is caught, in for the touchdown. Graham Goring. The junior from Iowa City, an extra point away from being tied once again in Fargo.
Graham Goring's a former walk-on, but I want to talk about the guy who's behind center. Mark Gronowski in the pocket, cannon for an arm, patience. He manipulates the pocket early in this series, and then now he just does what a quarterback does. Step up in the pocket and get it to your receiver.
That is a 90-yard touchdown drive and a heck of a response by South Dakota State, converting 3 3rd down and long situations.
And what I love about this series is the response, to your point, by South Dakota State. You think about, okay, I want to play at the next level and I want to extend my football career, even go to a championship game. You have to play big in big-time moments, and that's what we're seeing. This is a big-time moment, down by 7, 4th quarter, yet 3 different times on 3rd and long, you're seeing Mark Gronowski use his arm, use his leg, use his mind.
It was Jalen Duffy that bounced across the screen there late from his cornerback position. Gronowski on that drive, 4 of 5 for 84 and the touch. And we expected this game to be close. We expected it to come down to the 4th quarter, given everything that this rivalry means for both teams. And the stakes, considering the winner goes to Frisco to play for a national championship. And Taylor Davis, Mark Gronowski again has stepped up in a major way today.
And it's probably the most fired up I've seen him this entire game, coming off the field after that score, going up and down his offensive line saying, you have no quit, you have no quit. This is a guy that lays everything on the line. The coaches told us he has an aura of winning that impacts his team, but down here today, he has been as focused and laser focused as I've seen him in games that I've covered. And, you know, he talked openly about the opportunities he had after last year's championship game, very real opportunities to go play elsewhere. But he said, my loyalty to this place and the people and the success we've built trumped the potential opportunities elsewhere. And he said, games like this, moments like that scoring play are why I came back.
The loyalty overcoming that of a 7-figure deal potentially in a Power 4 conference. And Duffy is going to be brought up slowly.
Talk about how physical this game is and how guys just want to try to do whatever they can to make a stop. See Jalen Duffy, head goes down as he attempts to keep Goring from getting in the end zone.
And Sam, he's got to pass a series of tests, you believe, down there just to get to this point to be helped up. And a great sign, at least initially, requiring some assistance in the process. And you hope for the best for Jalen. Just a freshman, a lot of great football ahead for him in Fargo. Graham Goring healthy and a factor. And as the Jackrabbits reach the end zone the first time in the second half. Hunter Dustman only missed one extra point this season. More than 65 tries. And we are tied at 21 with 8:20 to go in Fargo. Now the first semifinal reaches its conclusion moments from now. Later today, Montana State and South Dakota. Stormy Bonantani with a report on site.
We got a good one on deck here in Bozeman, Montana, where typically this time of year you would expect it to be a frozen tundra, but it's actually a very tame 47 degrees, great conditions, which South Dakota very grateful for, considering they typically play all of their home games in a dome and have not played a true road outdoor contest since the end of October. And now, talking to a couple of South Dakota players, they feel like they are equipped to be the first team all season long to slow down Montana State. This is a team that is the only team that's undefeated in FCS this year. They've been winning their games by an average of more than 24 points per game, led by a guy they called Touchdown Tommy for a reason. Tommy Blott, 40 total touchdowns this year. We'll see how it all plays out today with a title spot on the line.
Stormy, thank you very much. Stormy Bonantoni reporting live from Bozeman, where the sun appears to be out and perhaps weather not an enormous factor in that second semifinal. Tommy Blott, the story for the undefeated Bobcats, and Brett Vigen, the head coach. He was calling ball plays for Josh Allen at Wyoming back in the day. Of course, the tie there to North Dakota State and head coach Craig Bohl. Montana State and the Coyotes, 1 versus 4. How about the top 4 seeds all advancing to the semifinals with all eyes on Frisco, January 6th in prime time?
Correct, and we've talked a lot about North Dakota State and South Dakota State. And part of the reason why is that 11 of the last 13 FCS national championships have been between these two teams. And so it's almost as if the FCS national champion has to go through one of these two.
The Fargo crowd quiets down. The Bison have it on offense. Now they're on their feet for Cam Miller. Racing ahead towards midfield and add 15 yards on the late hit out of bounds. Miller in motion again, and guess who that was? Adam Bach, his high school teammate, with something to say late. It's going to cost him the penalty.
I told you they may not have been friends in high school, man. I'm just saying, you might be teammates, but may not be friends. I want to start off as they're trying to figure out, as teams are getting separated. That was an unbelievable job by Cam Miller with his patience. He allows TK Marshall to set up a block for him, and then he gets to the outside. He slows down, defense goes in, and then Cam Miller goes out. That is a late hit. That is a good call. This is an intense rivalry. They probably were not friends in high school.
Bad intentions. Bach on Miller. And awaiting the official word.
Roy, were you friends with all your teammates in high school?
I was not.
You kicked in high school. Were you friends with everybody?
I was not.
All right, so.
After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds. 32 of the defense. 15 yards added to the end of the run, automatic first down.
25 yards on the run, 15 more on the penalty. In a tie game, and a spot in the championship in Frisco on the line. A costly mistake by Adam Bach.
It is, but it's a football mistake. You're running full speed to try and make a tackle. So that play, I understand the frustration from people who could be frustrated, but that's a football play. You're trying to go make a play in a critical game. You're running full speed, 15 yards, you accept the penalty.
Former pitcher and catcher, high school baseball in Iowa. Teammates on the gridiron. Bitter rivals today. Rika Pinu trying to make something out of nothing. The 32, gain of 3. Humphrey a tackle. The NDSU running backs have yet to really get going today. Cam Miller has.
He has, and he said to his coach, run me at all costs. And the coach may have said yes, maybe may have said no. But Cam Miller says, okay, I don't care what you say. I'm going to run when I get my opportunities. A couple of these have been design runs. There have been a couple opportunities where he could have passed it, but he tucks it and runs. And so Cam Miller does not want his team to lose the game. And as the quarterback, he's in complete control of that.
Longest run by a North Dakota State running back today, 7 yards. And Cam Miller, we just saw him race for 25, plus the extra 15 on the penalty. Approaching 100 yards on the ground today. He'll call his own number again. Physical finish at the 27. Tucker Large led with a face mask and a gain of 5 more. It's 3rd down.
And just, Roy, just going back to the point of run me at all costs, this North Dakota State offense didn't run Cam Miller a lot earlier in the season. Backup quarterback gets injured. Third-string quarterback was not going to be ready, so they played it more safe. But this is not the time to play it safe. This is the time to go and get it. Playoffs are on the line, championship on the line, and so that whole run me at all cost, I think the coach says, okay, I agree.
.90 yards rushing today for Cam Miller. He needs 2 more here. He'll hand it off straight ahead. And Shamar Brown needed to cross the 25. McGoy met him, and they're going to give him the 1st down. So it's Miller time again. The drive continues. Brown didn't need much, and he got just enough.
He did, and this is a great push by the offensive line. McGoy and Large find a way to try and get in there. Tucker Large, number 1, but they're just an inch too late. That's what this game comes down to, a game of inches.
Tim Polasek certainly would agree. Miller keeps it, flings it, end zone. Tapped away at the last minute, nearly picked off by Large. Retreating towards the back of the end zone, it was Colton Tilford that got at least 1 fingertip on it. Nelson was the intended receiver.
That was a play. And Colton Tilford's the backside safety. Miller's eyes, Camden Miller's eyes are all on who he thinks Raja Nelson is open. He climbs the ladder, tips the pass. What is his vertical? That's what I want to know. That was...
Miller was also hit as he threw it, and that hit came in low. He wanted a penalty, didn't get the call. So after all of that, it's 2nd and 10. Pinu. There's a big play on the ground by NDSU running back. And it's a chain mover. Down to the 13.
Sometimes it just takes time, Roy. Keep on going back to the well over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then it'll break. Rika Pinu finds a way to get a few yards at a critical time. You don't need much, you just need a little.
Polasek talking with Nelson. It was Nelson that had the game winner on October 19th in this same matchup. Coach Polasek told us this week, we've got to be guarded, we've got to be ready. We know it's going to come down to the 4th quarter, and here we are. Marshall checks in Pinu over the left side. And Miller able to force his way to the 10.
Roy, one thing that I think people don't talk about a lot is how tired you get when people run the ball so often. I mean, not only is it game 15, but it's the 4th quarter, your bitter rival, you've given it your all, and you're I mean, it's hard to just keep on collecting blocks, getting off blocks, to play the right technique, and I think both sides feel it. Right now, it's about the mental toughness on who's going to win.
It's not a video game. Survival of the fittest. Fatigue plays a role. Marshall, the running back, Miller, flings it, lands, a one-handed grab, but incomplete. You only need 1 foot inbounds in college with control. It was close.
He might have got that. Let's just watch. One hand, check out that outside leg. Boom, that's a touch, that's possession.
We can't see the ball on the other end to know that he had firm control, but it looks like a touchdown. The call in the field is very important.
Look, this is just watch. Watch his hand. Boom, foot's down, firm control.
Is that clear and obvious in your mind?
That's clear and obvious to me. Firm control, you don't need two hands and to tuck it to have firm control. If he has complete control, that's a touchdown.
They're going to take a look. Tim Polasek has got his fan base engaged. All plays are reviewed, and they'll take an additional glance. Trip Self, our replay official out of the Southern Conference. I think he caught it, but I can't tell and know for sure because the body shields the ball coming in to be hauled in completely. That to me is the question. Do we know? Is it clear and obvious with 1 foot in bounds? Does he have control with that angle? And perhaps this is a better shot.
That looks like control, Roy. I mean, if I'm middle school, high school, college, NFL, people can make one-hand catches. So if the question is about firm control, I didn't see the ball being bobbled. No, I didn't see two hands on the ball, but I don't think you need two hands on the ball. That was control. You need firm control, and that, to me, looked like 1 foot in bounds, outside foot, that right foot, and firm control.
Hand size in the National Football League, scrutinized especially by quarterbacks, receivers. Bryce Lance has large hands, and that plays a factor in control of the pigskin in a full sprint right near the end of the end zone. The foot is down, and he's got it. We never see the ball wobble after that moment.
After video review, the player maintained control with the body part down.
What a play. What a grab by the record-setting Bryce Lance. (27-21) NDSU. And Bryce Lance, younger brother of Trey Lance, 3 touchdowns today. And the lead is 7 for the Bison.
Bro, we hear from coaches and we heard from some of the staff that Bryce Lance has become a lot more confident. Then we talked to Bryce Lance and he talked about why he's become more confident. Why? Because his coaches believe in him. His quarterback believes in him. His brother believes in him. It seems as if everybody believes in him, and now he believes in himself.
Yes, indeed, Matt Perry, thank you. And here in Fargo, North Dakota, Bryce Lance on full display. A new school record, touchdown receptions in a single season. He's got 16 in his junior campaign and 3 this afternoon in this FCS semifinal. Mark Gronowski and the Jackrabbits will get it back. Bryce Lance, younger brother of Trey, continues that incredible legacy here for the Bison.
And he wasn't playing a lot over the last couple seasons. Coach Tim Polasek said, why not? He said, I believe in you. And now all of a sudden, we're seeing it on full display. Bryce Lance gets behind defenses. Bryce Lance wins in one-on-one. Bryce Lance is the go-to guy this year. Bryce Lance is a story for this team.
Gronowski will keep it. Barrels straight ahead to the 29. Eli Mostard to tackle. Gronowski picks up 4. The winner advances to the championship. January 6th in primetime in Frisco. Jackrabbits have won the last 2 titles. These 2 teams have combined to win 11 of the last 13 at the FCS level, as in 13 national championship opportunities. Gronowski again, thought about checking it down, finally does. Lamar Johnson is going to gain a yard, and that's it. Marcus Shepard tracked him down. And approaching 3 minutes to play. Jackrabbits, their full complement of timeouts and the 2-minute timeout, facing 3rd and 5.
And we've seen Mark Gronowski in this situation all game long. Third down, money down, what do you do? He's been able to find the weak points in the zone over the course of the game, but pressure has not been a factor. If it is, could be a different story.
Pressure through the A gap. Gronowski runs right around it, pushing the pile. And let's see how far he got. It should be enough for a first.
You gotta love it. It's 3rd and 5. You're backed up. You're running quarterback power. That's confidence. See him pulling guard. And notice Gronowski runs into his own guy because he's like, get out of my way. We need this first down. So that's confidence in your quarterback, and that's trust in the scheme and the system and in the conditioning and the work you put in all season long.
Here's Johnson, tracked down from behind. And a 2-yard pickup right ahead of the 2-minute timeout. Logan Kopp, the tackle. Crunch time in Fargo, and a spot in the championship on the line when we return. Johnson, after the timeout, racing towards the line to gain, and Amar Johnson stopped by Crumby, close to another SDSU first down. There was a timeout called with 2:02 to go by the Jackrabbits. Now we reach the 2-minute timeout with 1:55 remaining. 1:55 remaining back in Fargo. The dome is rocking. Tim Polasek, Jimmy Rogers, the head coaches. These two bitter rivals going toe-to-toe one more time with a spot in the national championship on the line in Frisco on January 6th. It's 3rd down and less than a yard near midfield for the Jackrabbits. They've won the last 2 national titles. In search of the 3-peat, and Gronowski under center bullies his way ahead for the first. So SDSU now with 5 straight 3rd down conversions, going back to their last touchdown drive. And crunch time in Fargo. The stakes could not be any higher. Gronowski, sense of urgency. Amar Johnson, and a penalty marker came in late at the 43. A play that should have picked up 7. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis with a sensational semifinal matchup.
Personal foul, face mask, 61 the offense. 15-yard penalty, replay first down.
On the offensive line, Ethan Vibert and Evan Bernston. Bernston right there on the right side of your screen.
And he grabs Cody Heisman. Cody Heisman with the spin move.
1st and 25 instead of 2nd and 3, and incomplete. It'll be 2nd down. Wilde, the intended target. If you're North Dakota State at this point, Sam, do you want to pin the ears back and come after Gronowski?
I don't. I want to play the same way I've played all game. I've played zone well all game. So I want to force Mark Gronowski to beat me methodically down the field. If I bring pressure, it allows more one-on-one coverage. I don't want that right now if I'm North Dakota State.
Bulk of the big plays have been to number 18, Griffin Wilde, and Gronowski at times on the ground. 2nd down, underneath. The tight end, Graydon Gannon, his 3rd catch. Stopped at the 40. So a gain of 8. 90 seconds and counting to go. Utilizing tempo, Gronowski lofts one deep. Goring, incomplete. 4th and 17, and it all comes down to this.
And Roy, that was right in between Goring's hands. That was a perfectly placed ball by Mark Gronowski. Graham Goring has outside leverage, and that ball, he just dropped it. That was right between his hands. So I see two things. Number one, North Dakota State brought pressure. There was one-on-one coverage. If they bring pressure again, expect South Dakota State to go back to a similar play. But if I'm on the defensive side of the ball, I'm not bringing pressure. All season long, I've played zone. I've been good in zone. It's 4th and 17. Play zone, have your linebackers start off a little bit deeper because you're not playing any run play. Instead of lining up at 4 or 5, line up at 8, 9, 10, and play your zone from back there.
These two schools separated by 190 miles. It's Interstate 29. The dominance for both sides apparent each of the last 2 decades. The Jackrabbits need 17 yards to keep their dreams alive of a three-peat. And a whistle blows. Timeout called by the Bison.
This is when some of that tactical, you don't feel how tense it is. Then it goes from the tense to the tactics. Right there, North Dakota State showed pressure. They were going to blitz. Well, now a timeout is called. If you're Grant Olson, the defensive coordinator, do you blitz or do you drop back? Those are the questions that you start to ask yourself. Okay, I know that we're a zone team, but last time we heated them up and it worked. So that timeout sometimes can cause you to second guess what you did because you showed the offense what you're potentially going to do.
Pair of 12-win teams. 4th and 17. Fargo Dome is on fire. Here we go. Jackrabbits gotta have it. Gronowski bottled up, driven backwards and sacked. Dudenheffer met him first. NDSU takes over.
The coaches said that Jackson Dudenheffer embodies the team. He's on the inside. You're going to see Rokes come in on a game, but it's not him. It's Dudenheffer from the inside, number 64 with the win. 6'2", 285 junior, who is the embodiment of this team with a play to win the game.
Only one timeout remaining for the Jackrabbits. And the jawing is occurring between both sides, as you would expect in a rivalry this intense. And Sam, you talked about the potential changing of the guard. The last 2 national championships won by the Jackrabbits. Here comes NDSU. The 9 previous titles right back there to reclaim their throne.
People talk oftentimes, Roy, about games like these being battles. And I get it. This game is won. But you could feel the history being made.
That will do it. And the Bison find a way. NDSU's going back to Frisco. And a chance for another championship. The Bison are back. 28-21, the final. And Cam Miller rides out of the Fargo Dome in his final game here in front of the home crowd on top. The chance for another championship.
Big time performance by quarterback Cam Miller. Talk about being in that batting slump against this team. Feels like he's on a heater now.
Tim Polasek with our Taylor Davis.
Thank you, Roy. Coach Polasek Masek taking a moment to soak this one in. A semifinal win over your rival, and you're headed back to the championship game. What does this moment mean to you?
It means a lot. We, this senior group, showed a lot of resilience, choosing to stay here. You know, we're going to play in Texas. I'm so appreciative to everybody. I love our former players here. But these kids, man, they came together in December when they didn't have to, and we lost one individual. And we're running a football program here, and I want America to know that. We're running an unbelievable football program. We're not building a team every year. And we're back, baby.
You are, and listen to this crowd that's been behind you for 4 quarters here today. You mentioned the culture of this football program. How was that on display today?
I love you, Coach. Right here, that's the culture.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wasn't pretty, and people are going to want to talk about how pretty it's not. I'll tell you, win by 1 point against a team like that, we got a lot of respect for South Dakota State and how they do their business. Jimmy Rogers is a hell of a football coach, is an unbelievable staff. Today we were better. Okay, and that's twice this year we were better. The Rock stays home, and we're going to Frisco.
You told me at halftime that your quarterback, Cam Miller, was willing your team through this game. What can you say about his play?
Yeah, I asked him to be that scrappy kid from Iowa that everybody said wasn't good enough, and just be scrappy and will us to keep us out there. And he did that and more late. We went to the quarterback run game. And, man, I give a lot of credit to our coaches, but ultimately our senior leadership and these guys getting everybody to stick together and trust the staff was just unbelievable.
Year 1 as the head coach, and you're going to the championship. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
I'm going to take a minute and talk to this scrappy senior leader that your coach just talked about. Cam, this one was truly a 4-quarter battle between 2 teams with a lot of familiarity on and off the field. How did you guys pull off the win?
Motivation. Coach P harped on it all week long that this was going to be a violent dogfight, and that's what it was. And it came down to the 4th quarter. Bryce Lance made plays, offensive line made plays, and defense came up huge late.
You took over with your legs at points, and you told your coordinator this week, run me at all costs. Why was this one different?
Because I hate losing to them. Now I can say it, I hate them. I hate the Jackrabbits. So.
I mean, the rivalry was on full display, but now you know what's next. You return to Frisco for a chance at a championship that this team feels it deserves. What did you show today that you'll take into the championship game?
Job's not finished. That's what we're going to take.
Well said. Go enjoy it with your teammates.
Thank you.
Half of the championship game in Frisco is set. It is complete. 28-21, North Dakota State awaits the winner of our next game here on ABC in Bozeman between the top seed Montana State Bobcats and South Dakota, the Coyotes. What a moment there with Cam Miller. Complete and total transparency. What this rivalry means. The Rock stays with the Bison. That's the Dakota Marker Trophy. And congrats in order for NDSU, Cam Miller, Bryce Lance. What a performance today at the Dome. For Sam Acho, Taylor Davis, I'm Roy Philpott. Good afternoon from Fargo. Stay tuned for Matt Berry, Rini and Goli with a college football scoreboard after these messages.